welcome back to Inspired Alchemy with Lizzie. This is episode 71. And I had something totally different planned for today, but I think that's going to come out next week. Today, I feel like we all need hope. We all need something to look forward to and to keep moving towards. And so I'm going to start off with a little bit of an update. I was kind of quiet on social media. If you follow me, you'll see that. I've kind of been in this place of cocooning and trying to figure out what's next for me. And I allowed myself to feel everything, to regulate myself the way that I needed to regulate, and to stay present. And in saying that, I have something that I wrote, which I will read to you. And then I'm going to go into a story that my dad told me this morning. So here we go. Please remember that, well, I don't really follow astrology. I am feeling like a snake that's shedding. And that last part, when the snake is shedding what's left of that skin, it's uncomfortable. And it's the roughest parts. And so you kind of have to, the snake kind of has to rub itself around on rocks and things like that to kind of get that skin off. So the first thing I want to say is please be patient with yourself. If you feel like you're cocooning, allow yourself. Again, we're not bypassing, but allow yourself to be what you need to be right now. Allow yourself to do the things that you need to do right now. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your body and what it needs and what it desires, because that's going to tell you a lot about where you're at. My appetite hasn't been great, but I'm just eating based on what I feel my body wants. I'm doing the best I can, and we all know that I'm not great at eating. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to read to you something I wrote on social media. So if you don't follow me, this is something that I wrote about what's been going on lately. As life unravels, I unfold. Sometimes the unfolding is peaceful, like a nicely folded sheet, and sometimes it's like unfolding a crumpled up piece of aluminum foil, which if you've ever tried to do that, you know can get uncomfortable, it gets sharp, but it's possible. You have to find the edges, and you kind of have to unfold it, and then it becomes a piece of aluminum foil again. Some days are darker than others, but when we remember that we carry the lantern, the path becomes easier to see and less scary. Sometimes things feel heavy and dark, but please remember, dark doesn't mean evil or bad. Sometimes old patterns and loops try to find their significance, screaming at you that you aren't safe and begging you to see it their way. But that's because that's the only way that they've ever known. But you know better. In the heaviness, I do not bypass, but instead work to stay flexible in regulation. As I move through this cocoon phase into whatever this next transformation is, I don't run from my shadows. I sit with them. I ask them what they need and desire. I ask them where they hurt, and I offer cuddles if they need them and want them, all within a space I hold for myself. Now, that's not saying that I don't ask for help, but this is a space that I'm learning to cultivate. Our monsters don't need to be scary. They wish to be understood and seen. I choose to quietly listen with curiosity and compassion until they speak their words on the edge of my tears. Sometimes tears fall easy. Sometimes I can't get them to fall at all. And sometimes they flood. But when they do, it always regenerates the soil. I stayed. I noticed. I asked for support when needed. And I led myself through. This is Inspired Perpetual Alchemy. With love, Lizzie. And that explained kind of what I've been handling. And it's been the last couple of weeks. So there's that. Please have grace with yourself. There is so much going on in the world. And this will lead me into the next part of this episode. It's so easy to see the bad, and it's so easy to be scared and to allow fear to guide you instead of love. And it's kind of done on design. We've been programmed to believe that fear is stronger, but it's not. Love is. And so my dad called me this morning, and my dad, I'm going to dote on my dad for a minute. If you've listened to other episodes, I've told the story about how he came into my life when I was about 14 years old. Up until then, I didn't really have a father figure, and I was skeptical of him because of everything else I had been through. But something in me knew he was different. And I tell the story about the earrings that he bought me that had a sun and a moon on them. And it's one of my most prized possessions that I will never get rid of, because it was the first time anybody had ever seen me. Here is this man who hasn't known me very long, but yet he picked up these things and said, I saw these and I thought of you. He has always been a man to help. He has always been the human that helps other humans. I've learned a lot from him. And I owe a big part of how I am to him, regardless of blood. And I really do believe the universe sent him to me because he is my dad. He will always be my dad. And I have stories about how he used to come home. On his way home, he was in the military. He was in the Navy for 20 years. And I'll tell you this story because I think it's relevant to who and how he is. There was a day that he came home and he was in his whites. If you know, the Navy has white uniforms. And his pants were dirty. He had taken off his uniform shirt because it had gotten dirty. And his undershirt was dirty. And I'm like, Dad, what happened? And the way that you get on the highway, there's ramps, and then here in Florida, so things don't flood, there's like a not a ditch, but when they fill up, they kind of look like a lake. And so somebody had, like this older couple had fallen in there, and he had helped them get out. It's just who he is. He lives in Nashville now with my brother and my aunt and all of that. And Nashville, if you don't know, was hit with a really, really bad ice storm. One of the worst storms that they've gotten in recent history. And so for the last few days, he has been out on four-wheelers, and he has been delivering water to there was an older couple he delivered water to so that they could flush their toilets. He has delivered gas to people with generators because they can't get out. And I'm saying, like, the trees, they're just snapping. They're just pine trees, so they're snapping under all of this weight of the ice. And again, people can't get out. Nothing like that. And of course, you're not really seeing it on the news, but these are the things that happen. And they sensationalize all the bad things instead of the good things that are happening. So my dad's telling me this story, and I'm trying not to cry because it's beautiful. So he's out on his four-wheeler, he's doing all of these things. He met this young couple, obviously not from Tennessee, different background, religion, nationality. My dad's never cared about that stuff. And so he met them the first day, and he was going to give them a ride to their friends, but then they were like, no, we're okay. I think I'm telling the story right. Sorry, Dad, if I'm not. But then he saw them again, and they're like, hey, yeah, can you take us to our friend's house? My dad's like, yeah, sure. No problem. And so he's riding with them, and all of a sudden my dad goes, you know what I love about this kind of weather? Here there is destruction all around him. It's like, you know what I love? The fact that humans are coming together. This is how it's supposed to be. He goes, it doesn't matter. Your background, your nationality, the color of your skin, none of that matters. What matters is what we're pretty much doing as humans is helping each other through hard times. Being here for each other, they were offering companionship, they were offering hope. Because my dad is not the only one helping. But this is a story about my dad. Delivering gas to people, all of these things. And so my dad's out there and he's not looking for money. He's not that kind of person. He just wants to help. So there were a couple of other people that he helped, and they're like, hey, just keep the change for giving us gas. Use it to help other people. Another person was like, hey, yeah, I want to give you money. And my dad's like, I don't, that's not something that I am out here doing. And he's like, no, but I want to. So, here's $20. So then that younger couple, which my dad told me the story of, like, they started sliding on the ice, and my dad's good about making scary things less scary. So then he turned it into kind of like a ride. He's like, woohoo, let's go. Right? So they were laughing, having a good time, and a time that is scary for everybody. And so the young man, I say young man, he's younger than me anyways. But the younger guy, he told my dad, he's like, hey, is it okay if I donate some money to you? And my dad's like, yeah, I'm not out here doing it for that reason, but yeah, sure. He's like, do you have a Venmo? So then a couple minutes after he had dropped that couple off at the friend's house, he gets a notification because the guy's like, hey, you're out here helping people and I want to help you help people since I can't do it like you are. And he sent my dad a good amount of money. And my dad's was like, oh my goodness, I've been out here helping like all day. And so I know my dad's going to use that money to help other people. And I just think it's beautiful how human beings come together like that. And there's so many stories like that. Again, it's so easy to look for the bad. It's so easy to see the bad. But as much bad as there is out there, there's also good. There's so many amazing human beings. And there's so much good happening. The media wants us to believe that we are against each other for whatever reason. And the media wants us to believe that even with all of the crazy, terrible things happening in the world, that's all there is. Because that's what's being sensationalized. But that's really not the case. Look for the pockets of good. If you can't find them, do what you can to be the good that you want to see in the world. Use these stories to fuel you, to guide you, and to show you that there is change happening, even if it's little by little. Human beings at their base, at their core, I believe, and people will say different, and that's okay. I believe that our strongest core is love. We were built for it, but yet we all shy away from it. We shy away from vulnerability, and we shy away from intimacy in all forms. And we shy away from love because we're scared of it. And I believe it's because it's so powerful that it can change things in an instant. You can change somebody's life just by smiling at them, or just by giving them a compliment, making one person feel less alone. can change the entire world. And maybe not through that particular person, but through the ripples that it can create, because then they go out and they do the same thing. And it's this beautiful wave that happens. And when we do this, and when we live this way, we ripple that out into the next generation. I'm not saying to ignore what's happening in the world, but when we can't control what's happening, we need to control how we handle the situations. And if that means that if we see all of this stuff happening and we just want to see good, then we go out and do something good. And it doesn't have to involve money. It just has to involve authenticity and love. Personally, I see all of these things happening in the world, and it hurts me on a deep soul level. So I'm doing what I can to try to bring hope into the world and try to bring love into the world the best that I can. Whether that's through my posts, whether that's through other things that I do, even if it's when I have a little bit of extra money donating or whatever it is. The little things, just like we do in life, those little sustainable things are what are going to change and things in the biggest way. So we can just all do the best that we can. And that's all that we can do. When we know better, we do better. When we can do better, we do better. And yeah, I just wanted to offer that story of hope today. And I think that's all I have for you. When you can't see the light, be the light. And remember, you're carrying the lantern. It doesn't have to be scary. And not everything that's dark is evil or bad. It just is. It's part of us, who we are. Light and dark. In a world that wants to show us and tell us that we are divided, that we are disconnected, that we are broken. Please know that we are not divided, we are not disconnected, and we are not broken, no matter how much we might feel like it. You're an alchemist. If you're listening to this, you are an alchemist. Please keep going. Take the small, sustainable steps. And know that you are not alone, and that you are loved, and you are enough just as you are. This is Inspired Perpetual Alchemy, and until next time, keep creating alchemy.